once I decided, I was like, okay, I'm going to invest in myself. And it was a big deal for me because I'm a single mother. And I remember being in the line and I was just setting the attention like, God, if this is for me, you're going to direct the steps. Little did I know it was already going in place. Everything was already going in place. All I had to do was just take the leap.
What's going on, everybody? It's Vannesia Darby, Randy C. Bonds, and Javi, and we are the Entourage. Under the spotlight today, we have someone that I low-key kind of stalked. Okay. I saw D Smoke post one of her photos that she took of him, and I immediately started looking at her Instagram and trying to find out more information about her. I sent her Instagram to the team and like, we got to get her on the podcast, and she graciously obliged. Anne Marie Clark is a celebrity photographer, and she has photographed people like Magic Johnson and, like I mentioned, D Smoke and the late great Nipsey Hussle. And she hails from California. So we're going to talk to her today all about her story, and she's self-taught, y'all. So it's going to be super interesting to listen to and to just hear everything that she went through. She's also a mother, and her work has been in Vogue and Complex and all these major platforms and publications. And I'm so excited for you to hear today's interview. Look, take notes. All right, we got a couple questions from the audience as well. Some people had hit us up on Instagram, so I got those questions too. We're going to be asking her all of that. Make sure you're locked into today's episode, and let's go ahead and get the show on the road. So you already heard her intro, y'all. Y'all know she got the receipts all along. Please welcome on the spotlight, Anne Marie Clark. Thanks again for joining us and for chatting. Y'all, let me tell you about her following, okay? Because baby girl posted one photo and all of a sudden we get questions now. We got new followers now, okay? So Look, this interview is going to be bomb. We already were talking a little bit backstage, and we done been through some things to get to this interview. So it's going to be a great one. But you feeling good? How's everything going?
So good. Thank you again for having me. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're going to hop right in. So y'all, here's the thing. So I found you on D Smoke's Instagram, and he tagged you in one of his photos. And y'all know me, I love a crispy photo. Okay, give it to me. So I was like, who took this picture? Right? So I go to your page and I start scrolling and stalking. That's what I do. I only use my powers for good, but I was scrolling and stalking. And I was like, her work is incredible. So then I started Googling you, and I found an interview with Saul Lopez, who I believe is another videographer in California.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And so I like watched it. I said to the team, like, yo, we got to get her on. So we sat for like 2 months. I'm like, I don't know if she's going to say yes. So first and foremost, are you born and raised in California, or like give us a little bit of backstory about you just as a person? Because I know your work.
Yes. Born and raised Los Angeles, California, South Central Los Angeles, Crenshaw district.
And it wasn't until I know you went to UNLV.
Yes,
right?
I went to UNLV on a track scholarship.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. What was your event?
Sprints 1 and 2.
Okay. You know, I was back in my heyday. I did shot put and disc. Okay. So I was a field eventer.
Hey, those points help win the championship though. So
say it one more time for the people in the back.
Right. We need the field events.
Thank you. Supposed to be hating on the field events. All right.
I know. Right.
So that's what's up. And I know that it was in college that you kind of picked up your camera, right? Yes. Or started taking pictures. Tell us about that.
So I actually always like taking pictures.
Mm-hmm.
I just like taking pictures. So this was back when Facebook was only for college students. I remember I had got like this little Sony CyberShot camera. And when I was working at the radio station, like we would have remotes and like events and stuff. So I would take the camera with me. And I was taking pictures like at the events. One of the program director guys was like, yo, like you really kind of have an eye for photography. But I was so like headstrong on becoming an on-air talent. So I was like, whatever. And then I revisited back later on after I had my son.
So you would give those photos to the promoters, and then did you take it anywhere further while you were in college, or were you just really focused on being the on-air talent?
Yeah, I was trying to be an on-air talent. So, I mean, I was giving them the images, they were using them on all the websites. And I remember one of the engineer guys was like, yo, like you can, like you can get paid, like you should look into it. And I was just like, no, but I want to be on air. I want to be on air. So like I said, I just lost focus, I guess, or I didn't really pay attention to it until after I had my son. Then I got a camera again and I was like, oh, okay, like I want to do this.
Do you ever get that itch to get back in front of the camera? Especially now with everything having a platform and everybody being talent?
Not really. No, I like being behind the scenes. I enjoy like creating.
In an interview, you once said, I got my notes to the side, y'all. You see me looking to the side, but you said, when you have a camera, people usually want their picture taken. And you were talking about just having good vibes and having good energy. So I know, I was raised in California and Illinois, so I know there's a certain vibe in California, but did you just kind of innately pick that up for people? Like, how did you go about asking people for their pictures, especially celebrities, because that can be a little difficult?
Right. I guess it's your energy. So most of the time people just reciprocate off of your energy. So if you're like bubbly and sweet, they're going to naturally just be like, oh yeah, So I think also too, like asking, like I'll see someone dancing or I'll see someone having a moment and I kind of just, slide in there like, hey, and I'm like, you want your picture taken? They're like, oh, and then they pose. So then exactly, they get ready. So I'm like, okay, cool. I take my shot.
I always tell people, I know whenever a camera's around. Okay. I have made friends with plenty of photographers. Right. Tag me. So, and I know that your first camera, you mentioned that, and y'all pay attention because I'm intentionally jumping around on purpose because I want to get the fullness of her story. But there's also so many things that we need to hang our hat on. So I'm gonna jump around a little bit. But you picked up a Canon Rebel T6. That was your first camera, I guess, when you started to take it seriously. Talk about that. Talk about like when you made that decision, because I know it was very headstrong. Like, this is it. Like, this is what I'm doing. This is who I am. How did you come to that conclusion?
Well, like I said, I was always taking pictures and I was taking pictures of my son. He's an actor. So I would, we would have to like take pictures and update him. And I was using like this other like Target Sony type of camera or, like those cheaper cameras. So once I decided, I was like, okay, I'm going to invest in myself. And it was a big deal for me because I'm a single mother. So all my coins go to bills and my son and everything. So I was just like, okay, I remember when I stood in line, I was like, all right, if you purchase this, you have to like go hard in it. You have to invest in yourself. You have to take it seriously. Like if you like dive in if you're going to do this, because I could use this money on so many other things. And I remember being in the line and I was just setting the attention like, God, if this is for me, you're going to direct the steps. Everything's going to happen how it needs to. And little did I know it was already going in place. Everything was already going in place. All I had to do was just take the leap.
Do you think it was because you were saying, hey, I'm going to make this investment, that everything started to come your way and God lined it up?
I don't know. And I think that's the best thing about it is just, we don't know how it's going to happen. You just have to show up. And I just showed up. I made a decision. I set my intention and I did it. And literally like that next week, it was like, boom.
I'm going to weave in a question here that before we keep delving into your story, we got a question from the audience, y'all. Okay. But Had to Splurge on Instagram asked, what is the best advice you can give to someone that's young and looking for motivation daily with photography or anything in general? So as we're talking about setting intentions and showing up consistently, how do you have that motivation?
I mean, it's just, I guess it's just in you on how bad you want it. I mean, and that's with anything. I've watched, some of my friends who are actors or musicians. And I remember when they started with nothing and they hustled and they went to this show and they practice, or even running track. Like you have to practice, you have to go to the gym, you have to run around in the track, you have to get up every day and work at it. So I think that's just what it is. I guess maybe I will say, like, it's the natural athlete in me is like, I know in order for me to reach this certain goal, I have to train. So I'm always trying to be better than I was yesterday. And I cannot lay down and not do anything, or I can't be dormant, and expect me to become greater.
Yeah. Can we stay there for a second? Because, and y'all know, again, you hear a lot of people's stories. We interview makeup artists and background dancers. And the one thing that doesn't change is that consistency and that almost like competitive nature that you have to come out and get it. Because honestly, in California, everybody trying to be somebody.
Everybody, it's other photographers who have better equipment than me and have just everything and may have a better eye than me, but it's the consistency, that's keeping me working. So
let's talk about some of your work. So let me just run through some of the list of people she's photographed, y'all. So I have here the late great Nipsey Hussle, Quincy, Joyce Wrice, Chris Martin from Coldplay, Magic Johnson, D Smoke, Troy Williams, the Ozzy Brothers, Snoop Dogg. How you getting these people? I know you mentioned that you bought your camera and that the following week there was a gig. Mm-hmm. So how did that happen and how do you stay booked?
So specifically with that day, it was my friend Samantha. So Samantha is Nipsey's sister. That's one of my really good girlfriends. And she invited me to, I guess, like a celebrity event. And she was like, just come with me, like as she always does. And then she was like, you know what, just bring your camera. You should bring your camera. So I'm like, okay, didn't think anything of it. So I'm there and I'm walking around, I'm taking pictures, and everyone's like, oh, send me the pictures. We'll tag you, whatever. So I went home, edit the pictures, sent them. So next thing you know, my phone's going off notifications, like, what the heck? And I am not anybody. So I'm like, I've never had that many notifications on my phone ever. So I'm like, did somebody hacking my page? Like, what's going on? And everyone was tagging me. And then someone else would like send the pictures, and people were also saying like, oh my gosh, you were such a vibe. You're such a, you have a good personality. Like, so I was just like, okay, cool.
She said my phone was blowing up. So there's two things I want to harp on, because like you're literally just telling your story and there's so many gems. I'm literally like, did y'all catch that? Right. So one was shout out to Samantha. Okay.
Yes, I have a friend that whenever there's an opportunity to where she can take me, she does. So
I love that. I love and that's the thing we talk about even in the Entourage podcast. That's the whole point of the Entourage podcast, is that there's all these people around that make other people pop. You know what I mean? That we want to hear their stories. And so it's important for you to have your personal entourage of just people that can put you on, and not even just like, oh, I got this opportunity, but like, hey, you take pictures. I'm going to celebrity event. Let me close this gap and say, hey, just bring your camera. Just bring your camera. So people start tagging you, your phone's blowing up, right? And at this point, did you already have like a photography business set up? Like, were you charging money? Okay. So walk us through like that process on the admin side. How did you get that up and running?
So it was, I guess after that, artists were starting to hit me up and they're like, hey, can you come to a session? Hey, can you do this? Hey, can you come shoot this? And I was just like, oh, okay. And I had to sit down and really decide, like, again, setting the attention. I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna have to invest in a website. Now I'm going to have to really be on social media. Now I'm going to have to do certain things in order for me to make this a legitimate business, so people would take me seriously. So, just after that, I made my website, and most of my clients I do get are on Instagram, because everyone's on Instagram. But just taking my brand to the next level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. And I said in the intro, y'all, she's self-taught. Okay. So there's some things that you can innately do very, very well, but you also, it comes a part in your career where you have to pair that with just business acumen, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So like, did you reach out to people? Like, how did you know what to do? Or were you just like Google University, like half of us do? Cause that's what I did.
Mhm.
You know?
Googling too. That's what I did in trial and error. And I still make mistakes sometimes now, but I mean, I can't dwell on it. I just do better for the next time.
Mm-hmm. I love it. And so is that how your business just started picked up, was just Instagram and referrals? I'm assuming
Yeah.
because the industry is really small.
Yeah, Instagram and referrals. And I guess like I said, when you have good energy and you come into someone's environment with a positive attitude, people want you around. So
Yeah. Yeah. And we also don't talk about that enough too, because
Mhm.
when you are on sets or when you are on, different shoots, the vibe can make you miss a job.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you actually said in a previous interview, when working with creatives and artists, you have to be mindful of the energy you bring into their creative space.
Right. Absolutely.
And I thought that was so dope, because when you are creating and when you are doing different things, there is a certain energy that you want. Like, you just want positive people,
Exactly. Because you have to think too, they're doing their job, and it's based on us on if it's going to be a fun experience or if it's going to be a dreadful experience. So most of the time, especially like if artists, creatives, they're people, human, they can get frustrated too. So it's just best that if you're helpful or if you're, positive, it kind of helps. You can help shift the energy.
Mm-hmm. No, that's super dope. And I think that even as people in the entourage, we don't always think about that, especially from just doing our job. Like I'm in social media and I do marketing, but I have an eye for talent too, right?
Yeah.
So what am I bringing to the space, even though the artist is performing or they're doing what they're doing? How can I contribute and be helpful? And sometimes that also may just mean being in the background,
Mhm.
right? Like just catching the
Support.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Support. Let's talk about, I want to get into your son Rocky and that you're a mommy.
Yeah.
So I know that you have like moms have a different hustle, right?
Mhm.
So if y'all are listening, her eyes just got really big. So I know you can't
Yeah,
see
like,
it. Right. So talk about that. And also, I love how you incorporate your son into your career. Like, he was just in Vogue. I'm just like, yo,
yes.
shout out to Rocky.
He's my muse. I always, every time I get a new lens or anything, I'm like, let's go outside and shoot. And, he's my baby. So he's like, yeah, let's go, and he supports me so much. And I show him my pictures. He's like, wow, mom, that's so amazing. And yeah, I love my baby.
Oh, no, I love it. I love it because we also sometimes we focus so much on the art that we don't even
Mhm.
think about people's lives
Yeah.
and, and what they're doing externally. And, he in it. I saw the picture, and we're actually, when I edit this, I'm going to put the picture right here. So y'all check out Rocky. All right. And all the things that he has going on. How do you balance that? How do you balance creativity? If there's a balance, and there may not be.
Yeah. I'm figuring it out. It's just us two. So mind you, I'm a photographer and I'm dealing with my business, but I'm also one of his managers. So I'm managing him as well. And then on top of that, I'm his mother. I have to manage him just getting to school every day and making sure he's eating and he's reading and. So I mean, I guess it's just we go with the flow. He's definitely had to come to shoots with me. He's 13 now, so he I can just have him sit down and he'll just sit there and he'll just watch. But yeah, it's I don't know. I'm just figuring out, like I said, still figuring it out.
No, day by day.
Day by day, moment by moment, actually.
Moment by moment. I do want to say this too. Being a part of someone's entourage can really be intimidating, right? Especially if you are self-taught, because there's sometimes that imposter syndrome kicks in and you're like, well, I don't have a degree in this. And, or I went to school for something else and now I'm doing this. So what advice do you give to up and coming photographers to kind of calm those jitters down?
Just do it. That's the only way you're gonna learn. I do have imposter syndrome. Sometimes I doubt myself. Sometimes I'm like, this is not good. And most of the time it's just us overthinking it. When we overthink and we put that pressure on whatever it is, then that just makes the experience worse. So just go in, have a good time, and do your best. And that's all you can do. This is what I want to do. So I'm going to have fun. And I don't want this to be ever to become stressful or ever to become something where I'm like, oh, I have to get up and go do this. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes you will have those days too.
No, I've had, but then that's when in those moments when I sit back and I'm like, man, I'm so blessed and I'm so grateful that I get to wake up and do what I love to do. And I don't have to go clock in, and nothing's wrong with people who want to go clock in, but it just, I'm a creative. That was just jail for me. So once I'm like get into the grateful and I'm appreciative, then I'm like, okay, I don't care about all that other noise.
You use the word noise, and I think that that's such a great word because it could be very loud in your head. You know, everybody trying to say something, they got your own opinions, and we real sensitive people, okay? Right. So, you know, going to your happy place and, you know, finding your version of balance, whatever that looks like. And then also having people to say your work is good, you know, having that village around you is super duper important.
Yeah.
You know?
Support.
That's your episode is gonna just be called support. Like that's what I also want to, because we're on the subject of jobs, I know that you did work at Vector 90. And do you currently still help out there, or are you still associated with Vector 90?
Yes. So we closed, unfortunately due to COVID, but we are going to open back up in Lamar Park. So stay tuned, follow Vector 90 for all the updates.
Awesome. I'm going to put all that in the show notes as well. I've already followed just because I love the branding and the mission. So definitely going to put that in there. Speaking of that, CJ, the smart guy from Instagram, said, how was working at Vector 90? And by the smile, you could tell that she loves it.
Oh my God. It was the best job I've ever had in my life. Firstly, I got to work with Nipsey Hussle, and that was the most amazing experience that I've ever had in my life. My job was just to connect with the people in the community. And I love talking. Like, I would get in trouble for talking in class, and my teacher would move me and I would still talk to that person. But little did I know back then that was networking. It was amazing. And at that time, this was like right when Victory Lap was coming out. So everyone was like all about the Victory Lap. It was mission aligned. So it was one of the, like I said, the best experience I've ever had.
Yeah. Now I remember watching like even some of the promo for Victory Lab and just like seeing, you know, all of the marathon flags, like, you know, coming out on the gram and stuff like that. I think it's a special thing when you have synergy with people and, you know, not only just aligning from a creative standpoint, but also in alignment for a mission, you know, and to better the community. So we'll definitely stay locked to everything Vector 90 has and knowing that all the images will be from you. And I know you mentioned, you know, COVID and, you know, the pandemic with Vector 90. So how are you dealing with the pandemic and everything that's happening?
I'm taking it moment by moment. You know, some days are better than others, but I guess the silver lining was like my son and I, we bonded so much. He really became my friend and we did a lot of stuff together. And honestly, it helped my career. You know, at that time, athletes and artists, everyone was shut down, so they needed content. So then I was getting phone calls. And another good part about it, I guess, too, is like all the artists, they were still, like some of them were still having their camps. I mean, COVID safe, of course. And so while everyone was like complaining, like, oh, I haven't seen a live show. It was like, well, I'm in here listening to a live right now. You know? And that helped me. That helped me so much, you know, because we were all kind of disconnected. So to be connected in music and art and creativity, like I thrive in that environment. So it made me, you know, it helps me. It inspired me. So, you know, if it wasn't for COVID, I mean, I don't want to, I can't say like where I would be, but it definitely helped me. It helped my brand, you know?
Yeah, and I know you're an old school music head. You know, you love you
Yes.
some old school R&B.
Old school R&B, like stuck in the 90s. Okay.
It's actually the year 1997 right now. We were
Right,
just,
right. Right.
we got the neutral tones popping, you know, like one thing I wanted to ask, just kind of along the lines of mental health, and we've been checking in with all of, you know, the people in the entourage, especially that we interview, just talking about mental health because it's so different, you know, like especially being a creative, we're used to using all five of our senses, and to have, you know, physical touch not be possible, like that's huge. Do you feel that even as a photographer that this has moved to a calling, you know, more than just a passion, like just freezing moments in time when right now time seems so scarce, you know?
Yes, that's a good question. I do think about that too, because hopefully this will never happen again.
Mm-hmm.
So the good thing, I guess, is even documenting these moments. Like me personally, I know everyone's like, oh, you should, you know, journal. I don't like to journal, just because I don't like writing it and I don't want to read it again, especially if it was something like traumatic, you know? So my journaling is capturing these moments or these images.
How do you feel when you're going through images or where you're taking, like, walk us through that emotion that you get when you're snapping photos and when you're in the zone? What does it look like?
So I laugh because sometimes I guess I call myself a professional people watcher. Like I'll sit somewhere and I'll just watch people and I just watch their mannerisms and everything. And so I guess that helps me. So when I shoot events, I'll pay attention to someone's rhythm and how they move and I'll try to capture it. And then when I'm editing, it's crazy because I guess what I'm trying to invoke is I want the person looking at the image, I want them to feel what was going on in that moment. Or if I'm capturing a picture of a concert, I want you to hear the sound. Or if it's food, I want you to be able to smell it and I want your mouth to water. Like that's, I guess, where how my process is or how I think.
No, that's so true. I was actually just did a presentation today and I was talking about marketing, but I said I follow a lot of foodie accounts on Instagram, and the best ones is when I can smell like what are they cooking. I can taste it. Yeah. Sometimes we don't think outside of the medium that we're in, you know, like we can say that you're the lady behind the lens, but you also have a mind to think like, how are people actually consuming this? You know, how are they looking at my art? What feeling do I want them to evoke? And thinking of that as you're shooting is really powerful because you don't know what you're going to get.
Right. You don't. Right. Absolutely.
What would you recommend is the best way to get in the industry? Does everyone have to move to LA? Like, are you using social media? You know, is that what you would recommend? If someone is picking up a camera and is like, I want to do what she does, what's your first step?
I would not consider myself a veteran in the photography game. So if I was someone from somewhere else and I picked up a camera, I mean, I would just start by practicing, understanding your camera, you know, and then utilize social media. I mean, it's the most powerful, one of the most powerful tools that we have right now, and it's free. All you have to do is have an email address. I would maybe like if there's a local artist, I would maybe like try linking up with them or local talent, you know, and do, you know, maybe some free trade work where you can shoot them and give them the images and just tell them like, you know, hey, just tag me.
No, I think that's great advice. This is great advice. And I think people are afraid of doing free work. You know, and I'm not saying give all of your stuff away for free. Let me come close to the mic. I'm not saying give all your stuff away for free, but sometimes if you want to shoot your shot, let people know how you can add value and what you can do to contribute to their brand. Even in marketing, for example, for websites, you can go on you can email someone and say, hey, I noticed on your website, this link was broken, or I noticed that you're not optimizing in the way that, you know, we could be doing like this. I would love to do this for you.
Right. Someone told me that. So DJ Head told me that. He said, if you ask somebody for a favor, provide a service for them. So if you do that, they're more likely to be like, yeah, versus like, hey, can I do, or hey, can you do this for me or whatever? Then, you know, you're going to be like, no.
I don't
So
know you.
yeah, exactly. So if you're like, hey, I'm Ann, I'm a photographer. You know, can I come to your show and I can take pictures of you and I'll give you, you know, all the images in the album at the end of the night? I'm pretty sure they'll say yes.
We had well, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I also interviewed someone else who has a networking and professionalism organization. And one thing she said was she hired a photographer and videographer. She said for a couple reasons. One, because, you know, people who attend your event are going to want photos. Two, when they post your photos, they're going to tag you. And three, if your event is sponsored, you got to give something, some type of content over to the sponsor so that they can sponsor you again.
Exactly.
You know? Yes, no, I think that's super important. And I will say this, I'm so jealous of photographers and videographers because the Instagram feed is popping. It's popping. So like you said earlier, show your work and use social media. That's how we doing this interview, y'all.
Social media, look. See?
You can have an interview too. So no, like I think it's really, really powerful. And it came from a tag. And I will say this too, if you are using someone else's images or videos, tag them. Like,
say it again, please.
Tag them.
I don't understand why people don't like tagging. And it's like the least you can do is, especially if you're not paying for the images, you can give someone social currency. So just tag them, and you don't even have to put the camera and put their name. You could just tag them in the image, because I always look at the tags too, or I'll look at the photographers and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. Or a lot of my friends in the photography world, I guess, you know, I'm like, oh, that looks like such and such work. And I click it up. I knew it was my boy. I knew that was my girl, you know, so just tag them. It does help. It can help them, you know, like I said, especially if you're not going to pay them, you know?
Yeah, no, I think that that's super important, and just paying respect to other creatives. I had that question on here. I was literally like, how important is tagging?
It's very important. Tag everybody, tag everything. Tag your mom and your dad on your pictures too, on yourself.
Because they was there. They was there.
Right.
No, I love it. What's next for you? I'm so excited for your career, by the way. Can I just say that? I'm a fan.
Thank you so much. I don't know. I mean, I will say this, I'm going to be working with a major artist soon, and I'm really excited about that. I can't say everything just yet, but whatever the Lord has for me, I'm going to walk in that. So that's
moment by moment.
Moment by moment.
Moment by moment. Well, I'm sure whatever his plans are for you, because that's what the Bible says, that they are good
it's already
to prosper
written,
you.
Honestly, we're
gonna have church on this Entourage podcast, okay? So no, I'm so excited for your future. I mean, the people didn't lie. Your energy's amazing, but also it's just like you're talented, and like I said, I'm a fan, and you are welcome back under the spotlight anytime.
Guys, I'm so appreciative of you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Tell the people where to find you and what's the best way to see your work, and we'll make sure to put that in the show notes.
Okay, so you guys can find me on Instagram, AnnMarieClark_. I'm literally doing my website right now. So once it's back up, I'll post it in the link in my bio. So you guys can hit me on there too.
Awesome. And if y'all got some work in California, or if you're going to pay for your girl to come out across the country.
I would love to be flued out.
Yes, she's available. All right, y'all. Thank you again for hopping in the spotlight with us, and we love having you. And y'all be sure to check out all of her work in the show notes below.